Hello everybody, hopefully you can hear me. I know we're a minute late today, apologies, had a few little technical difficulties. I want to thank you once again for joining me on another Snap webinar, Snap XMP webinar, and this time we're now starting a series about easy analysis within Snap XMP. And today we are going to hopefully be, if I can change my screen, there you go. We're going to hopefully be talking about easy text question analysis in Snap XMP. So my name's Louise Parsons, and over the next 20 minutes, I'm going to guide you through two easy ways to analyse text-based questions, firstly with lists and then with word clouds. So fingers crossed, everything goes smoothly now. So we are going to start by just talking a little bit more about text questions or open-ended questions in general. So what are open-ended questions? Are any question where you're asking for any kind of free-form text answers are open-ended questions. In this case, we quite often use the word open-ended. We use the word text question as well quite a lot. It's basically anything asking for a text answer. In this case, when we're talking about open-ended or text questions, we're talking about people being able to give you their opinion, and one of the advantages of open-ended text questions is that they can give you more complex and detailed answers. Open-ended questions or text questions often start with a how, a tell me, a why. So examples would be, what do you think about? How could we? Tell us more about. All of those kind of things. So what are open text questions used for? As I said, there are different ways to ask open-ended questions. You can ask a more detailed one. You can ask for singular responses. They can be very short. And using Snap, you can create many different question types. And almost all surveys you create will be a mixture of closed and open questions. So they're used. What are they used for? Well, closed questions are used for measuring. This is a quantifiable data that you can use in a data set and analyze. And open questions or text questions are normally about discovering what people think and why they're thinking it. So open-ended questions are about discovery. So what are some of the disadvantages of open-ended questions? We know all types of questions have some disadvantages, and open-ended questions are no different. Firstly, they can be very time-consuming. This is something we should be mindful of when we are putting in open-ended questions. And open-ended questions do put in a higher cognitive burden on your respondent. It means that they have to think more. This means that you'll possibly get lower response rates because of this. It puts more pressure on the respondent, thus lowering the response rates, because there is more work for them to do. So just be aware of that when you're choosing open-ended questions that you have in a survey. Depending on what the questions are and what the survey is, they may lower response rates. Results can be hard to compare as they don't rely on numbers or counts or percentages, and so it's harder to compare statistically or mathematically. Irrelevant information is another thing you have to be a bit wary of with open-ended questions. We quite often call it noise. Before you get to any relevant information, there may be a lot of irrelevant information within there. So you have to be careful. And you have to be careful as well, because what you're considering irrelevant information may not be. Just because it's not what you were looking for, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is irrelevant. And open-ended questions can also be difficult to analyse. They can be difficult to analyse mainly because you may have lots of information in there, and it can be very hard to decide what is important, what's pertinent and what's not. So we do know that open-ended questions are difficult to analyse. They're also heavier on you as a researcher, your resource in your time, because it does take more time to look into open-ended questions. So is it worth it, is the question you want to ask, worth all of that time, all that effort, and some of those disadvantages? Well, quite often, if people ask me, I would normally say yes. And the reason is, the reason we've decided to do this webinar today is because they are very worthwhile to have a look at. And there is lots of valuable information in open-ended questions, valuable information that you might be missing if you just ask closed-ended questions. So there are lots of advantages to open-ended questions. Firstly, you get more detail. That detail includes thoughts and feelings, opinions, experiences, all of those things that you might find hard to quantify in other kinds of questions. Open-ended questions can empower respondents to feel like they can give you more information about their experience, and they can be more honest about that. In turn, that leads you to discover deeper insights, give you much more information about somebody's entire journey, whether this is a customer and this is a satisfaction survey or an experience survey, or if it's an internal staff survey, it can give you a wealth of information that you may not have been expecting and that you may not even have known that you needed. So the advantages of open-ended questions vastly outweigh any disadvantage, as long as you ask them in the right way, and as long as you can have a look at that information when it comes back in as well. So you can probably tell I quite like an open-ended question. So there are two main types of open-ended questions that we're going to talk about today. There are lots of ways to ask open-ended questions, but the two most common types we're going to talk about are a longer commentary question. A longer commentary question lets you look a bit deeper. These questions are a deep dive into reasons why and how, and what these open-ended questions enable you to do is to go beyond knowing what they're thinking and to understand why they're thinking it, for example. So these might be quite lengthy. Quite often people don't put any kind of character limitation on this type of longer commentary question. The second type we're going to talk about today is a closed question, really, closed open-ended questions. So that's quite a conundrum, really. And by that, things like follow-up comments. So open-ended questions are perfect to follow up where you might have received a closed-ended response. And the example I have here is, please rate your overall experience. And you might have had a lovely 5-star option rating, nice, colourful question type. But you can follow that up by an open-ended question like, please give us 3 words to describe your experience. So that's very clever. You can even route. So for example, if they scored very low, your open-ended question might be, please give us 3 words, we're sorry that please give us 3 words that could improve your experience, for example. And with these types of shorter follow-up comments, you can split them into positive and negative answers, making analysis much easier. I have to say that if you split them up the way that we're going to do it today, it gives you some really great results, as you'll see. This is an example of one of those types of questions. You can see that we've asked what they liked, and this will give us positive commentary. And we've asked what they disliked, and this will give us negative commentary. And we can analyse those separately. So why choose word clouds and lists? Well, obviously, apart from loving an open-ended question, I do love a word cloud and a list. So an example of a list we can create it with an order as well. The answers to open-ended questions appearing in a list allows you to present both the open-ended question, the result of your open-ended question, the answer, commentary. It also allows you to present other data next to it to give it context quite often. And they're a very helpful way to break down text-based answers, making them quicker to read and easier to understand. Word clouds. So we're also going to be having a look at word clouds. They present text answers. If you don't know what a word cloud is, they present text answers. So either one word answers or key phrases, and they're scattered around a graphic, and where and how often a response is used, the larger it appears as a text. So theoretically, the more important it's seen as, because the more it's mentioned. And these are fantastic. People think they're word clouds, and they are a simple thing, but people forget how they are one of the more engaging types of analysis that you can do. So these can be very engaging in reports. They can really draw the eye. And at a glance, members of the public, for example, who you might be sending responses out to, at a glance, they can very easily see what's being spoken about, what's important. And one of my colleagues says they can almost be a work of art. I'm not sure what I think about that, but you can draw your own conclusions. But word clouds are a really great way of doing it. One of the important things of why we split up, for example, that last question we looked at into positive and negative, is because you don't just want to dump everything in a word cloud, because if people are saying something is very good or not good enough, good will still come up as a large word, even though that's not what it's meaning. It's not saying everything is good. So being able to split things into positives and negatives and display them in word clouds where you know that's what you're looking at, a really great way of looking at information. So how to ask an open-ended question? There are a few simple rules. One, which is a rule not just for open-ended questions, it's a rule for any kind of questions that you're doing, is clear and concise. Make the question easy to understand. Keep your language simple, and don't make them have to puzzle over what it is you're asking them. So being clear and concise is really important. Keep your questions free of bias if you can. Try not to lead them. This encourages more sharing of their viewpoints. And finally, open-ended questions are actually a very engaging type of question within a survey. Engaging types of questions help to build trust in your respondent. Asking an open-ended questions earlier on in a survey actually means they're more likely to continue on and complete a survey as well. So finally, just as a little recap, open-ended questions in surveys, they're going to help you discover more information, perhaps more than you've been expecting. They're going to help you better understand people's attitudes, concerns, opinions, what knowledge level they have. So it gives you more depth. And finally, it gives respondents the opportunity to be honest with you. The kind of honesty you can't get from answers to a yes/no question or a scaled question. So open-ended questions have a very important place within surveys. You just have to be mindful of the way that you ask things and how many you use in your survey. So let's get started and have a look at the actual demonstration that we're going to go through today. So before we do anything, let's have a look at the 3 question types that we are going to see. So the first one is this question. So this is the open commentary question where people can put anything they want. We've left it without a character limitation in there so that we're not restricting people to smaller smaller answers. So that's going to be our full commentary question that we're going to analyse today. And we're going to put that in a list. The next 2 questions we're going to put in word clouds. So the first question is going to be please describe what you liked. So that's going to create our positive word cloud. And the next question, to describe what people disliked, that's going to create our negative word cloud. So let's close this, or minimize it, I should say, and let's go to our desktop snap. So going to our desktop, when you go into your survey, as you know, you're in the design window. You've also got this line of icons across the top. And in this section of icons, you can see that if you want to do analysis, you can very quickly select an icon, analysis table, go to a chart, create a cloud, list, so on and so forth. This is just the way I like to work, but I personally quite like to just go into my analysis list here. And then I just start creating analysis from here. So I'm going to press my plus button. And this is what we are going to start off with. It opens our analysis definition window. and allows us to start making some choices. We're going to start with a list for our nice full commentary question. So in my type, instead of being a table, I'm just going to select list. It will, if you haven't done one before, go to a default list. And in here is where I would put my question number, for example. And for me, that is question 7. And I'm going to go apply a few times as we go through, just so that you can see the changes as we make them. As you can see very quickly, in literally 1, 2, 3 clicks, we can create a list of our responses. Fantastic. But we might want a bit more than this. If you wanted your case number, for example, you can just add case, comma, and if I click apply, we've now got a case number there. I might not want that. I might actually want other information in there. So I have got 2 other questions. Those 2 other questions are my venue location and the month that they attended it. So I want to include those in there. And I'm going to go Q7, comma, and my other 2 question numbers are, oh, I keep pressing full stop. My other 2 question numbers are Q15 and then Q17, I'm pretty sure. You can find out. And if I go apply, we can see that I now have my comments, I now have which location they attended, and I now have which month they attended as well. And I want to label this, I'm going to call this comments on experience list. And so I can go into my notes and I can label that. And here I also want to give it a name. I'm going to call this comments list. Ooh. Got that correctly. It's very tiny on my screen, I'm sorry. So if I select there, put a space in that one, can apply that as well, just so that we've got our nice name. Now I may also, when I'm looking at the comments, I might want to see my comments by location, for example, I'm going to choose. And you can do that by clicking the drop down under order and selecting column values. And then my comments is column 1 in this case, and here column 2 is my venue. And I'm going to select by column 2 because I want to see it by venue. If I click apply, I can now see I've got all of my Cardiff ones first of all, before it goes down to Glasgow, etc. And as you can see, we've got lots of gaps in here, people who didn't fill in any comments. And we can very easily get rid of those by just putting a filter in. This is what's going to filter our base. It's going to show us the results that we're looking for, but only from those who have, if I go Q7 and then space OK, only from those who have actually put in a comment. And as soon as I apply that, we can see that I've now only got the list with the other information by it of people who have actually filled in a comment. And we're also going to just choose a slightly different style. This is my favorite style. This is just a question of taste. I like the text grid one. If I apply that, this is what it ends up looking like. And if I click OK, I can save it with my blue tick, can upload any changes so that it goes immediately to my online account. And if I close that, we can see that in my nice analysis list, I've already got a comments list. Fantastic. So let's have a look at creating a word cloud now. Before we do that, I'm going to show you, if I click on this icon here, this is our variables icon. Our variables icon. So here you're going to see that I've already created an auto category variable. This is where I group together my questions, which I asked what they liked. So these are my positive questions, questions 8, 9, and 10. So let's just go back quickly here and we can see the question that I'm talking about. So 8, 9, and 10 are these ones that were liked, and these ones that are disliked are 3 other ones. So because I'm looking for positive, I've called it AB1 pos for positive, and I've put my 3 question numbers there. I've also decided that I want to limit my codes. I want the top 100, not that I put 100 in here, but you get the idea. So if you wanted to, you could limit it to your top 10. It's totally up to you. and you save that, and this is my auto category variable. And if I want to make one for my negatives, I can just clone that variable. I'm going to call it AV1neg for negative. I'm also going to just change my question numbers. I'm going to change them so that they reflect the ones that had something that what they disliked. So they were question 11, question 12, and question 13. All I have to do is save that. I've now got an auto category variable for negative and positive responses. So I'm just going to close that. So let's make a word cloud. Same way as we did with the list, we just press plus. Press plus, and instead of choosing a table or a list as we did last time, we just select cloud. It will automatically take you to our default cloud, and this is where we would put in our auto category variable, which is our AV1 positive. Oh. And so that means it's going to be all of those questions together, and they're going to be ordered. I'm also going to name this, what am I going to do? Positive comments. And I'm going to give it a display name of the same. And I'll also go to my notes, and I'm going to say this is positive comments of event experience. And so that I've got a nice little label there as well. So very quickly, if I click apply, we can see that we've already started creating our word cloud. It's got all the information I want in it. It's named as I want it. And I'm very happy with that. Yeah. If I click OK, I'm now out of my properties window. And if I right click, I can go into edit styles. So you just right click and then go into edit styles. And this brings up all the styles for this cloud that we're looking at. You can do very simple things. For example, you might want for your title to be centralized. If I do that, press apply, you can see that puts it central for me. I might want to put in a background. Let's make a very, very light one just so that we can see it. Maybe that's a bit too dark. So we can make it very, very light. Click OK. And we can see that we've now got a background for it. If we wanted to, we could make that our entire backdrop. And then it would make our entire backdrop that color. I can decide, as you can see, by default, we have got 6 colors in here. They're called palette 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. If I wanted 8 colors, I would just change that to 8 and apply. If I wanted 4 colors, I would change it to 4 and apply. So you can create as many colors as you like in there. You can even go in and you can make them versions of your corporate colors if you'd like to. So just pick the palette you want and it shows you what color it is. I can select a version, let's say, of my corporate color. Click apply, and we can see we've got some more brightness there. I might want to make it more vivid versions of standard colors that I've got. I'm not saying you want to do this, obviously. We've got a delicious kind of salmon brown here, which you may not want to change at all. So you can go in and you can make any of those changes that you want. So as I said, you can give it the look and feel that you like. You can also do some things like randomness, just means it will gather it slightly differently. So you can give it a different look if you'd like to. But if you're happy with the look that you've created, you can just click OK, save with your big blue tick, upload any changes so that it has those changes on your online account. And you can see that we've got a positive comments of event experience. That's great. So let's say we want to do one for our negative comments. We don't have to go through the same thing. We can literally clone it. I do love the clone button in Snap, I have to say. Clone our positive comments. And what we're going to do is we're just going to make a few changes. So instead of AV1, gathering together our positive comments, what they liked. We're going to use our AB1 neg, which was our negative comments. We're going to change the wording here and call it negative. And if we just pop this in here, we can have that as our name here as well. And in our notes, we also had positive, and we're just going to call that negative. And if we click apply, all of those changes are there. So we've created a cloud style with our corporate colors that we've decided to change it to. So whenever you go and create a cloud now, you'll be able to select that style instantly. I click OK, see that we're very happy with that. If I wanted to edit styles again, because for negative ones, I may want to choose a different kind of palette, I can choose to do that. It's probably also worth saying that you can change things like your chart size if you want to, and you can also change the angles of words. So we're choosing horizontal. You could choose vertical only. There you go. Or you can choose a mixture, vertical and horizontal. And it will give you a look like that, for example. I prefer just the horizontal for me personally. Easier to read. But we love a word cloud because now we know we're looking at negative commentary. We can see that poor quality, substandard, disappointed, unsatisfactory were really prominent in those. And once again, we're going to do a nice big blue tick and upload any changes. So what we've created there is we've created our list of analysis. We've got our comments list, a longer commentary list, our negative comments list and our positive comments list. And if I just go to my online account, and if we go just refresh, this is the one that we've done, we can see that we have got our tables and charts in here. So you know you have your standard reports in there without you having to do anything. We've got our summary dashboard. So for example, you can see your summary on each piece of analysis, and including if you've got commentary, you can scroll down to see it. But we've now got our tables and charts, and if I select that, we can see that we have got the ones that we created. We have got our comments list, brilliant, which we can download, and we've done it by area. We've got our negative commentary list, word cloud, and we've got our positive one as well. And all of those are there. We can see it was splendid. We can see it was educational, really easy to do. They can be downloaded, and if you set people up as analysts, they can view the results and the tables and charts, including the commentary lists and word clouds that you've created there. And that's it in a nutshell. Very easy to do, very quick to do. And if you liked what you saw, if you want to be able to do it yourself, we have got all of our support material for analysing open-ended questions here under this QR code. But if I could really kindly ask you to use this QR code on the left to fill in a short feedback survey. And in it, you're going to be asked, you know, what else would you like to know more about? If you're enjoying these webinars, I'm trying to make them quick, but I do apologise, I've gone a little bit over today. But, you know, let us know. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you want in the future as well. So once again, thank you very much for listening. If you've got any questions, please email my lovely colleague Sadie, who is standing by on info@snapsurveys.com. Please fill in our short feedback survey and tell us what else you want to know more about. And if you're looking for more support, either scan this QR code or go to snapsurveys.com, our website, and select support. Thank you very much for your time. I'm sorry we had a tiny little late start and we went on a little bit longer, but I hope it's been useful to you. Until next time, thank you very much.